good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whatever time it is, wherever you are in the cosmos today. Welcome back to our reading of the Bringing Cedars of Russia series. We're going to be reading a chapter from book 1 today. We're getting really close to the end here. Today I'm going to be pulling a quick message for us first from this deck, The Oracle of Heaven and Hell by Travis McHenry. Yeah, it feels kind of interesting and funny doing this because a lot of people kind of associate Anastasianism, as Wikipedia likes to call it, which isn't even like an actual movement or thing or belief system that exists, that anybody calls that like their own volition. No, Wikipedia just decided this is a religion, but it's not. But that being said, we do talk a lot about God. Sometimes we talk about Jesus. Sometimes we talk about like ancient history and stuff. There are a lot of connections there, and a lot of people, not just in like the magical, like white magic community, but also especially in the church and stuff. People can get very imbalanced, I would say. Like, it's not about wanting the knowledge of good and evil so that you can choose good. It's like the fear that if you have knowledge of good and evil, then you're gonna choose the evil because you don't actually believe in the goodness of yourself. Which oftentimes is how things play out if you had the kind of childhood that led to like a subconscious belief that you're trying to like recreate. In any case, there are all kinds of angels and demons involved here. But for this chapter, we got Nithael, Rejuvenation, and it's number 54 in this deck. I'm not quite sure yet if that's an association with like a system or it's just like the 54th card that they made. We got Jealousy and Victory on the bottom. Those are the two components here. And the other component of Rejuvenation, Nithael, is the demon Murmur, Overthrowing of Authority. Ooh, okay. So this could be in relation to the destructive, reversing, the backwards, the left, the feminine, the decay-worthy side of this energy is the overthrowing of authority, which can be a positive or a negative thing, right? Depending on if it's like a false authority being, empowered on a physical 3D way to like become powerful in that way. But they were never powerful spiritually speaking. They were always just biding their time, basically. But it sure does look sometimes like something different. That's very interesting, Murmur. There's all kinds of angels and demons in here that are very similar to words that we use in our everyday vernacular in English, which I find very interesting, like the connections. So that word may be relevant to you. Nithael, Hazel, Nathan, Hal, Letty. Okay, that's good for now. So if that card spoke to you in some way already, awesome. If not, we'll get into the chapter and see if it has some kind of direct association with the chapter that we're reading today. Maybe so, maybe not. It'll probably be different for all y'all. And maybe I'll read the guidebook for this one on a short or something. But we're just gonna get started with chapter 26 today. 26 might be an interesting number for you right now. I know it is for me and a couple of my associates. This is going to be a longer chapter, so I would recommend grabbing some tea, some cacao, some hot chocolate, a slushie. Like, I don't know what time it is, what year it is, where you're at in the earth, but, you know, take your knitting project, get something, get cozy, get hunkered down. And we're going to be reading Dreams, Creating the Future, chapter 26. Now that I have learnt about Anastasia's feelings, about her desire to show, in spite of all her extraordinary traits, that she is still man, a normal, natural human being, I realized what mental anguish I had caused her that morning. Once again, I apologized to her. Anastasia responded that she wasn't angry, but now, after what she had done, she was afraid for me. What could you possibly have done that could be so frightful? I asked. And once again, I heard for the umpteenth time a story nobody should put forth seriously if they expect to be considered as normal as all the other people in our society. Nobody talks that way about themselves. When the ship left, Anastasia went on, and the young people headed back to the village, I stood for a while all by myself on the riverbank, and I felt good. Then I ran off to my forest. The day passed as usual, but in the evening, when the stars had already come out, I lay down on the grass and began dreaming, and then worked out this plan. What kind of plan? You see, the things that I know are partially known by various people in the world you live in. Collectively, they know practically everything, only they do not fully understand how it works. Then I went and fancied how you will go to a large city and tell many people about me and my explanations. You will do this using the same methods by which you usually spread any kind of information. You will write a book. A great many people will read it, and the truth will unfold to them. They will have fewer ailments, they will change their attitude toward children, and work out a whole new way of educating them. People will become more loving, and the earth will begin to emit more radiant energy. Artists will paint my portrait, and each portrait will be their very best masterpiece. I shall try to inspire them. They will make what you call a movie, and it will be the grandest film ever made. You will look at all this and remember me. You will meet wise people who will understand and appreciate what I told you, and they will explain a lot of things to you. You will trust their word more than mine, and realize that I am not a witch, but actually man, a human being. It is just that I have more information inside me than other people. What you write will be of tremendous interest, and you will become rich. You will have money in the banks of 19 countries, and you will visit holy places and cleanse yourself of all the darkness that is in you. You will remember me and begin to love me. You will have the desire to see me again and to see your son. You will desire to become worthy of your son. My dream was so clear, but possibly a bit pleading too. That is probably why everything happened the way it did. They took it as a plan of action and decided to carry people through the dark forces window of time. That is permitted if the plan is formulated in detail on the earth, in the heart and mind of an individual man, an earth dweller. No doubt they took this as a grandiose plan. Perhaps they added something themselves. And this is why the forces of darkness have been hard at work of late. They have never been this active before. I realized this from the ringing cedar. Its ray has become a lot more powerful lately, and the ringing has got louder. The cedar is hurrying to give back its light and its energy. As I listened to Anastasia, I became more and more convinced that she was utterly crazy, that maybe she had long ago escaped from some asylum and was living here in the forest. And here I had gone and slept with her, and now she might have a child? What a tale indeed! Still, seeing how serious and concerned she was as she talked with me, I tried to calm her down. Don't you worry, Anastasia. Your plan is obviously unrealizable, and so there's no need for the forces of darkness and light to fight each other. You don't have a detailed enough knowledge about our everyday life, its laws and conventions. The thing is that an awful lot of books are being published right now, but even the works of well-known authors aren't selling that well. I'm no writer, and so I don't have either the talent or ability or education to write anything. That is correct. You did not have these earlier, but now you do, she declared in response. Okay, I kept trying to assuage her fears. Even if I tried, nobody would print it or believe in your existence. But I do exist. I exist for those for whom I exist. They will believe and help you, just as I shall later help them. And together with those people, I couldn't make sense of what she was saying right off, and once more I made an effort to calm her down. I shan't even make an attempt to write anything. There's absolutely no sense in it. Don't you get it? Believe me, you shall. They have already created a whole network of circumstances that will make you do this. What am I, think you? A puppet in somebody's hands? And so much depends on you. But the forces of darkness will try to stop you with all the tricks in their arsenal. They will even try to drive you to suicide by creating an illusion of hopelessness. Enough, Anastasia. That's it. I'm sick and tired of listening to your fantasies. You think they are just fantasies. Yeah, fantasies. And I stopped short. It hit me all of a sudden as I calculated the timing in my head, and I understood. Everything Anastasia told me about her dreams, about our son, she had thought up last year, long before I knew her, as well as I do now, long before I slept with her. Now, a year later, it was coming to pass. So, that means it's already coming to pass, I asked her. Of course. If it had not been for them, and for me too, a little, your second expedition would not have been possible. After all, you were scarcely able to make ends meet after the first one, and you did not even have any claim to the ship. You mean to say you influenced the shipping line and the firms that helped me? Yes. So you drove me to ruin and inflicted damage on them. What right have you to interfere like that? And here I've left the ship behind and I'm sitting here with you. Maybe right now everything's going to pieces back there. You've probably got some kind of hypnotic ability. No, worse than that, you're a witch and that's it. Or a crazy hermit. You don't have anything, not even a house. And here you go, philosophizing in front of me, you sorcerer. I am an entrepreneur. Do you have any idea what that means? I'm an entrepreneur. Even if I am dying, my ships still ply the river. They bring goods to people. That's what I do. I bring things to people and I give you any items you need. But what can you give me? What can I give you? I can give you a drop of heavenly tenderness and I can give you rest. You will be a genius of bright-eyed cleverness. As your image, I am blessed. Image? Who needs your image? What sense can that express? It will help you write the book for people. Oh, please. There you go again, doing your goodness knows what with that mysticism of yours. So you can't just live like a normal person, are you sure? I have never done anything bad to anyone, and I never can. I am a human being. I am man. If you are so concerned about earthly goods and money, just wait a little. It will all come back to you. I do owe you an apology for dreaming like that. Dreaming that you will have a time of troubles, but for some reason I could think of no alternative back then. You do not see the logic. You need to be compelled to see it through the help of circumstances in your world. Excuse me? I couldn't hold out any longer. What's this about being compelled? You do something like that and you still want to be treated as a normal human being? I am man, a human being, a woman. Anastasia's agitation was clearly noticeable as she explained. I only wanted, and I still only want the good. I want only the light. I want you to be purified. That is why I thought back then about your trip to holy places, about the book. They have accepted this. And the forces of darkness are always fighting with them, but never have the dark forces scored a major victory. And what about you, I countered. With all your intelligence, information, and energy, are you just going to stand and watch from the sidelines? In a confrontation on this scale between two great principles, my own efforts count for precious little. Help is going to be needed from many others in your world. I shall seek them out and find them, just as I did that time when you were in the hospital. Only you need to develop a little more of that conscious awareness. You need to overcome the bad within yourself. I'd like to know just what's so bad within myself, and what did I do wrong when I was in the hospital? And how could you have treated me when you weren't there beside me? Back then, you simply did not feel my presence, but I was right there with you. When you were on the ship, I brought you a little branch of the ringing cedar which Mama had broken. When you were on the ship, I brought you a little branch of the ringing cedar which Mama had broken off before she died. I left it in your cabin when you invited me in. You were ill even then, I could feel it. Do you remember the branch? Yes, I replied. In fact, that branch hung on the wall of my cabin for some time. Many of my crew noticed it, and I brought it back to Novosibirsk, but I didn't pay any attention to it. You simply threw it out? But I had no idea. No, you had no idea. You threw it out. And Mama's branch did not succeed in overcoming your illness. Then you went into the hospital. When you get back, take a close look at the history of your illness. If you check the chart, you will see that in spite of taking the very best medicine available, there was no improvement. But then they gave you some cedar nut oil. Now, according to strict prescription regulations, the doctor was not supposed to do that, but she did it in spite of the fact that there was not a single mention of it in your medical prescription guide, and nothing of the sort had ever been done before. Do you remember? Yes. You were being treated by a woman who is a sector head in one of the best clinics in your city, but this sector had nothing to do with your particular illness. She left you there, even though just one floor up, there was another sector specifically corresponding to your illness, right? Yes. She would prick you with needles and turn on some music in the half-darkened room. Anastasia's account was in complete accord with what had actually happened to me. Do you remember this woman? Yes, she was in charge of a sector in the former district council hospital. And then all at once, Anastasia, her eyes fixed intently on me, spoke several disconnected phrases which immediately shocked me and caused a shiver to run through my whole body. What kind of music do you like? Fine. Like that? Not too loud? And she spoke these phrases in exactly the voice and with the intonation used by the sector head who had treated me. Anastasia, I exclaimed. She didn't let me finish. Keep listening. Do not be shocked, for God's sake. Do try. Try to make sense of everything I am telling you. Get your mind forces working, at least a little. It is all very easy, you see, for man. And she went on. This woman doctor, she is very good. She is a real doctor. I got along with her very well. She is kind and forthright. It was I who did not want you to be transferred to the other sector. That sector would have corresponded to your particular illness, but hers did not. She requested her supervisors to leave you with her, assuring them she would take care of you. She felt up to it. She knew your pains were simply the result of something else, and she tried to counteract that something else. She is a doctor. And how did you behave? You kept on smoking and drinking to your heart's content, eating salty and spicy foods, and that in spite of your serious ulcer. You did not deny yourself anything in the way of pleasure. Somehow your subconscious got a message, even though you were not aware of it, that there was nothing terribly wrong with you, that nothing would happen to you. I did not accomplish anything good, rather the opposite. The darkness in your consciousness did not lessen, nor did your will or sense of awareness improve. When you regained your health, you sent one of your employees to thank the woman who saved your life. You yourself did not call her, not even once. She was waiting for you to call. She had such a feeling of love for you. She or you, Anastasia? We, if that is clearer to you. I got up and for some reason took a few steps away from Anastasia, who was sitting on a fallen tree. The mixed up state of my feelings and thoughts caused even greater uncertainty as to how I should think about her. Now look, once again, you are not understanding how I do things. You are becoming confused, but it is a simple thing to grasp. I do things with the help of my imagination and my ability to analyze possible situations. And now you have started thinking ill of me again. She fell silent, her head resting on her knees. And I stood there too without saying a word, thinking, what's she doing there? Talking away and saying all sorts of incredible things at the same time? She keeps on talking, and yet she's concerned that her sayings are not being understood. It's clear she has no idea that any normal person would not accept them, and so would not accept her as a normal person. Still, I went over to Anastasia and brushed her cascading braids of hair from her face. Tears were rolling down her cheeks from her large bluish-gray eyes. She smiled and said something quite uncharacteristic. She's just another one of those soppy females, eh? Right now you are overwhelmed by the very fact of my existence and do not believe your eyes. You do not fully believe, and you cannot even make sense of what I am telling you. You find both my existence and my abilities amazing. You have completely ceased accepting me as a normal human being, as man. But believe me, I am a human being and not a witch. You consider my way of life amazing, but why does not a certain something else seem just as amazing, even paradoxical to you? Why do people admit the earth to be a celestial body, the greatest creation of the supreme mind with each system component as his greatest achievement, and then go tear the system apart and devote so much effort to its destruction? You see a manufactured spaceship or aeroplane as something natural in spite of the fact that all its components are made of broken or remelted parts of the original supreme system. Imagine a being who breaks off a piece of an airplane in flight and uses its parts to make himself a hammer or a scraper, and then praises himself for having succeeded in making a primitive tool. He does not understand that one cannot keep breaking pieces off a flying airplane indefinitely. How can you not grasp that our Earth must not be tortured like that? The computer is considered to be an achievement of the human mind, but few realize that the computer may simply be compared to a prosthesis of the brain. You can imagine what would happen to a person with normal, healthy legs if they walked on crutches all the time. Naturally, their leg muscles would atrophy. No machine will ever be superior to the human brain, provided the brain is kept in constant training. Anastasia rubbed at a tear rolling down her cheek and stubbornly persisted in elucidating the incredible revelations stemming from her extraordinary logic. At the time, I had no idea how everything she said would arouse millions of people, set the minds of scholars astir, and even as mere hypothesis, prove to be without parallel anywhere in the world. According to Anastasia, the sun is something like a mirror. It reflects emanations from the earth which are invisible to the eye. These emanations come from people in a state of love, joy, or some other radiant feeling. Reflecting off the sun, they return to Earth in the form of sunlight and give life to everything on the planet. She brought up a whole array of supporting arguments, which were not that simple to grasp. If the Earth and other planets were simply consumers of the sun's grace of light, she said, it would be extinguished or burn unevenly, and its glow would be off-kilter. In the universe, there is and can be no lopsided process. Everything is interrelated. She cited, too, the words of the Bible. And the life was the light of men. Anastasia also stated that one man's feelings can be transmitted to another by reflecting off the celestial bodies, and she demonstrated this by the following example. Nobody on earth can deny that you can feel when somebody loves you. This feeling is especially noticeable when you are with a person who loves you. You call it intuition. In fact, invisible light waves emanate from the one who loves, but the love can be felt, if it is strong enough, even when the individual is absent. By drawing upon this feeling and understanding its nature, one can do wonders. This is what you call miracles, mysticism, or incredible abilities. Tell me, Vladimir, do you not feel a bit better with me now? Somehow lighter, warmer, more fulfilled? Yes, I replied. For some reason, I have started to feel warmer. Now watch what happens when I concentrate on you even more strongly. Anastasia lowered her eyelids ever so slightly, slowly stepped back a few paces and stopped. A pleasant feeling of warmth started running through my body. It gradually intensified, but didn't burst into flame and didn't make me hot. Anastasia turned and began to slowly walk away, hiding behind the thick trunk of a tall tree. The sensation of pleasant warmth did not lessen, and to it was added another, as though something were helping my heart pump blood through my veins, and with every heartbeat came the impression that the blood streams were instantly reaching to every little vein in my body. The soles of my feet broke out into a heavy sweat and became very moist. You see, now is it all clear to you, Anastasia said, as she triumphantly reappeared from behind the tree, confident that she had proved something to me. You see, you felt all that when I went behind the tree trunk, and your sensations even increased when you could not see me. Tell me about them. I told her, and then asked in turn, what does the tree trunk show? What do you think? The waves of information and light went directly from me to you. When I hid myself, the tree trunk was supposed to significantly distort them, since it has its own information and its own glow, but this did not happen. The waves of feelings began falling directly upon you, reflecting off the celestial bodies, and even intensified. Then I caused what you call a miracle. Your feet began to perspire. You failed to mention that fact. I didn't think that it was important. How do my feet perspiring constitute a miracle? I chased all sorts of diseases out of your body through your feet. You should feel a lot better now. It is even noticeable on the outside. You're not slouching as much. Indeed, I was feeling better physically. So, when you concentrate like that, you dream up something, and whatever you want comes to pass? That describes it more or less. And does what you dream about always come to pass? Even when you're asking for something besides bodily healing? Always. As long as it is not an abstract dream, as long as it is detailed down to the minutest aspect and does not contradict the laws of spiritual being. I do not always manage, however, to come up with a dream like that. Thought has to proceed extremely quickly, and there must be a corresponding vibration of feelings, and then it will definitely come true. It is a very natural process. It happens in the lives of many people. Ask around among your acquaintances. Perhaps you will find some among them who have dreamt this way, and their dream has come true either fully or partially. Detailed, thinking, proceeding extremely quickly. Tell me, when you were dreaming about the poets and artists and the book, was that all in the detail too? Did your thought proceed quickly then? Extraordinarily quickly, and everything was so specific down to the finest detail. So now you think it's going to come true? Yes, it will. There wasn't anything else you dreamt about at the time. You've told me everything about your dreams? Not everything. Then tell me everything. Do you really want to listen to me, Vladimir? Really? Yes. Anastasia's face brightened as though illuminated by a flash of light. It was with inspiration and excitement that she continued her incredible monologue. I can't believe we're almost done. That's crazy. That chapter is so good. I totally forgot. Okay, so we had rejuvenation / overthrowing of authority. Yeah, we're in a space of rejuvenation right now. We are in the process of overthrowing false authority that has come to rise to be, visible in the seen world. And we're doing that by overthrowing false authority internally first. And that is creating this rejuvenation. Rejuvenation is like rebirth. And rebirth is like, 10 of swords, 3 of swords, like unaliving. You have to unalive something to birth something. And I personally believe that the concept that there will be no unaliving in the future simply means that if you don't view decay and rebirth as destruction, but you recognize that the ingredients of the thing to be birthed are within the thing to be destroyed, the destruction isn't necessarily a negative. Everything is relative, and that is a really challenging energy that we're dealing with right now and will continue over the next couple of years, I believe. But it's important not to be like shying away from that, right? It's important to be engaging in this. When you play around in these energies, you don't always know exactly what you're doing, and you may veer left here and there. And the only way to learn the truth, and the only way to truly spiritually advance society, is to sit with that and to wrestle with that and to have our own experiences with that. And we are given the beautiful, magical blessing of free will while we are here. So I would recommend, if you would like to connect with the archetype of Nithael and even the archetype of Murmur, I will leave this judgment up to you, because you know yourself better than I do, and you're gonna do what you're gonna do. But be careful with that. Sometimes it's important to like really, really focus on the light, because we don't know anything about it, and we have to kind of create some balance in our understanding, right? And so if we have so much darkness, maybe we need to heavily focus in on the light to make room for our highest self to kind of come to the forefront, so that you can safely navigate through the darkness. So right now it's like you're creating and developing that lantern, like that hermit's lantern, and that insight within that's coming from pulling back and focusing heavily on what you want to create. If you don't see what you want to create, if it's so uncomfortable, that might force some people to step back and say, none of these options are acceptable. I never used to think that I have the power to change what the options are, but just given how completely unacceptable all of these options are, I'm gonna do the impossible, the crazy, the bad thing. And it's all gonna be okay. Yeah. Okay, so to overthrow false authority, you have to identify false authority. In order to identify false authority, if you are surrounded and shrouded in darkness, you have to get to know, you have to learn from your angels. I'm going to pull a card from the biblical tarot, because it's usually a little bit of a less dualistic energy. Can I get a clarifier on Nithael and Murmur? Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. The sun! Confirmation! Oh, whoa. The devil is on the bottom of the deck. So yeah, lots of themes about light and dark here. Lots of themes about the dark forces window of time. The dark forces window of time exists, perhaps has existed many times in the past. But it's cyclical and it's not foundational. And If you are too wrapped up in current time, in current events, in the physical present moment where you are right now, not like in your body and your spirit and stuff, but like in the society and the world, if you focus too much on that, then I don't think we're going to make it out of this. We need the sun. Oh, right, the sun's rays. The sun is a reflection of bright, radiant, joyful, loving feelings coming from people. And if you only feel bright, radiant, loving, joyful feelings when somebody is like hijacking your hormones, or like feeding you, or some kind of like sensorial survival pleasure thing, if they just associate love with that feeling of like dopamine, yes, there's like dopamine and oxytocin and like certain hormones involved in the experience of love on a biological level, so that can be where some of the confusion comes from. But it's extremely dangerous to believe that those sensorial pleasures and the like relieving of your anxiety and the like tiptoeing around you and all of that stuff, if that is what makes you feel good, actually that good is just dopamine. It's just a relief, temporary relief from the pain, and the pain is information to help you heal and grow. So actually, if you focus on that dopamine, you are pushing off your healing and compounding your issues, right? And so there are some people that think that that's love. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've interacted with somebody who this reminds you of. Maybe this was you at some point in your life. But in any case, we're all on the arc of reclaiming this. And I know for some people, structurally, when you're neglected in childhood in certain ways, you don't really have like the connections in your brain to understand what you don't understand. I know somebody once who was, read a book about emotional intelligence, and that was like a new part of their persona, and it was like really important. And yes, emotional intelligence is important, and yes, it's something to value and maybe take pride in having, I guess, but emotional intelligence is not something you can learn from a book. It's something you're given to by your loving parents. And just because your parents weren't able to figure out how to give that to you doesn't mean they're evil. It just means that they weren't properly loved. And when we start getting into this space of what is love, and we have all these people that believe that dopamine and distraction and relief and like mutual soothing, that this physical, sensorial, survival-based relief is joy, is good, is goodness, is happiness, is health, is love, because they don't know how to use that word, because they don't know what that experience is, because they have never had that experience, and they don't even necessarily have the receptors to be able to experience that experience, right? So all you can do is redefine and rework and evolve your understanding of what love is, because we're all somewhere in that spectrum. None of us, we're all learning lessons, we're all growing, we're all healing. None of us are ever there, But just the commitment to moving, as like somebody can be somewhere, be a certain way, and it's not really working for them, but they're so attached to it, and they just want to stay right there. They don't want to hope, because hope takes away your control. It gives you the potential to desire something and then have it not come true. So if I'm pessimistic, and if I'm in a survival space, and if I'm strategic, and if all I care about is like getting my basic needs met and getting dopamine, then I'll be in control. And who does that? People who do not have a true felt sense of what love is. because they were raised by parents who were not given the tools or the circumstances, the space to love them properly. And so if you start digging into this work, you're gonna have to confront that you aren't perfect. You are gonna have to hold hope in the ideal of this like magical fantasy ideal of healing, of like perfection, of ascension. And you have to know, I'm never gonna get there. If you're right here and you go, this is me, this is who I am, this is right, this is where I'm supposed to be, there's nothing wrong with me, this is exactly what this is who I am, this is how I was born. I was born this way. Then you can stay in control and you can say, this is the right way, even if it's not. Sometimes people know it's not and they say it is. Just to calm themselves, just to convince themselves, just to live in a reality that makes sense to them, that doesn't hold paradox, that doesn't hold pain and suffering and distraction and lessons. And so you can do that. We all have the ability to do that. But if you choose the other way is not, I am an angel, everything is perfect. Oh, I just didn't want to decide to be good before because I'm just, for shits and giggles, as they say. I just wanted, No. Almost always, people are convincing themselves, or at minimum, other people, that what they're doing is what they should be doing. Even when they're in the darkness. And the darkness is negatively impacting them. And then they'll go out and point to other things around them and say they are creating this. But it's not true. They're not creating the shade. The shadow, the shade, the darkness was already there. It was inside of you. You're in the darkness because you insist on staying in one place that's just out of the sun's reach. Because if the sun doesn't shine on the darkness, then is it even darkness? So we have the ability to live in blissful ignorance. And we can, and sometimes we do. But if you're ready for some rejuvenation, if you're ready to overthrow that false authority of the darkness in your life, then go on your pilgrimage. Find the sun inside of yourself so that you can create the sun outside of yourself and share it with all of the rest of us. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it there today. We'll see if I get the chance to come on and see y'all tomorrow, one way or the other. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Hope you have a beautiful day. Love, light, peace, and personal responsibility. I'll see you next time.